The main build we're going to be building today requires a crud ton of basalt, so between episodes I've been spending a lot of time here in the nether collecting basalt, and thus far I have nearly a shulker box of it. Another block that I might want to build with is one that is easiest to get from piglins, namely crying obsidian, because I'd like to build with it. It looks really good. So let's go see if we can get some pigs to get some crying obsidian from. The problem with getting stuff from pigs is that it's random. Oh, crying obsidian! Hello and welcome to episode 5 of this survival series. Today we're going to be finishing up the farming village around the starter area, and we're going to be building a church. Well, chapel. It's kind of both. It's a bit big for a chapel. As you can tell, there's a very particular style that these builds are following, which is not very complicated. It's just this simple 3 high of spruce at the center of spruce planks, which, you know, it's really simple, but like when you're building at this small of a scale, you kind of have to make it that simple, or else it just looks bad. Like no one's gonna like it if it's like you can build with a variety of blocks at a small scale, but making it look good with a variety of blocks, that's why what I'm doing here is a very, very basic spruce and stuff wall. Like it speeds up the construction process mostly. And when you're building like 3 of them at a time, it's kind of nice having a quick and speedy way to build it. It also means that you don't have to do what I usually do, which is pre-plan the build in creative and then build it with like Matica, because you don't have to do all that. You don't have to build it twice, you can just build it once. But I still quite like building stuff in like Matica. It allowed that to happen. Stuff that big is just not feasible to improvise. Yeah, these builds look kind of nice. Like, this build will probably be one of the nicer ones, because it's also a little bit bigger. So, because it's bigger, we're going to use, like, a fancier roof. Instead of just plain acacia or plain mangrove, we might do something like crimson. Or you might do a gradient type thing, like we did on the tavern. Well, the city's tavern. Yeah, I'm going to be building a lot of taverns in this world, aren't I? I mean, it is medieval fantasy. There kind of have to be a lot of taverns. The first field that we plant is this little carrot field, because we haven't thus far been farming carrots. Which, I don't know why I hadn't planted the field yet, but, you know, now we have a carrot field with bees flying around. Now, a few of the other buildings are going to be quite a bit different. This one, for example, we're going to have one of the thicker foundations. Maybe 5 high? Yeah, let's go 4. With a slightly larger second floor. Basically, the entire point of that is to make this building to be a focal point of the village. This is where people would come to drink after a long day at work. And where, like, the social boundaries would be a little bit lessened. Not completely gone, but lessened between the millers and peasants. Now, the field that I want to put over here is going to be a very cute little... actually... What if instead this was the miller's house and we connected it somehow to the main building, the mill? It's like the miller would be a wealthier individual, and so having a house separate from their work actually seems pretty reasonable. So it'd be a bit large. I'm gonna make it a little larger in front, and I like how it is on the side. So it'll be a simple 5x5 interior. The thing I actually just realized I'm going to be doing with the miller's house is making it have the similar extended out sides that the tavern has. Because if didn't, it would look... Because then it's like, oh, this person is important. This person is probably one of the more important people in town. And, like, you want to have that. You need that kind of variation in scale and variation in importance, too. Which leads to this little area, this little extended side to add a little bit more depth to a build that's a little bit larger. And yeah, it's I like it. I like it a lot. And it will help the Miller's house be a little bit more obvious, I think. Also, wait. Did I mess this up? Oh no. Did I accidentally make this an even amount? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Piece of garbage. Piece of garbage. Piece of flipping garbage. Okay, I'll expand it out 1, and then we'll start working on the roofs. Before I install the roofs on these houses, I need to collect a whole bunch of resources, which I'm going to be doing on stream. I stream at Twitch at the same URL as the YouTube, _the_the_undead. Resource gathering complete. It is now time for a bunch of roofs. Now the roof is not finished. It needs a few extra details, like acacia stairs and slabs to add a little bit of height variation to make it look, well, not boring, because that's one of the things that's really easy to accidentally do, is to create a very uniform looking roof. Like, the other trick you could do is do texture, adding in blocks that look different. Now, I like the simplicity of just adding texture through height variation and block variation. The end result of which is pretty good looking build. Maybe we could move that over 1 and add 1 there, and then it would be perfect. And yeah, it's a very simple build style. For this building, I've decided that I want to go with a more rounded roof, because you want to have contrast in terms of roof colors and textures, though not over much so, because if you do too much contrast can look really bad. But I think this works quite well, and we can do a flat center. Look at it, it works really well. I think that's a good shape. We can add a slab on top of there if we want, or we can not. It depends on which looks better with this build. Actually, I think what we should do is we should reduce the height of this section to maybe some slabs. I think that would look a little bit better and make more sense in context. And this roof will also be a mangrove roof, because we want a good balance between mangrove and non-mangrove builds. And mangrove, especially when stripped, is a very, very beautiful block. And we did the same thing with this roof, adding variation in height with mangrove plank and mangrove slabs and mangrove stairs, all in the name of making this build look just a little bit nicer. So you always want your builds to look good. Or at least that's my priority. Not practicality, but interest. And so we add like a little slab section here, maybe a stair here. And if you don't know whether you like it or not, walk away, fly away, and look at it and go, it looks a little weird, but I might be able to add like a small bit that goes out to the edge there, or maybe to there, that goes a little bit further on that, and then on the other side, we can do something slightly different, but very similar. And then you know what you do. You just do it. And there's the second of the little small houses. And this is the Miller's house, which I believe would be one of the wealthier people in town. So they get a fancier roof, which is going to be a simple gradient from red sandstone to orange wool to pumpkins to honeycomb to yellow wool, which I think looks kind of cute. I'll continue the same border theme of placing the dark oak stairs on the edge, and I think it looks kind of cute. This build looks so cute. It needs a few extra details. The windows are actually a bit big. I think a 2 high is probably big enough. One cute detail that I think this house could really use is a little planter. It looks so cute, and you can even add a little bit of support on the bottom. Perhaps you could go very simple, but it's a very cute little plant box that makes the window feel more used. We can repeat the same detail on the other side. Add a few flowers, add a few other things inside, and fill up the windows with glass. With a few glass panes and a few flowers in the flower beds, this build is done. And we can move on to the tavern. The tavern has a significant contrast in build palette compared to the rest of the village. It's made with oak and jungle and, well, yeah, it's really weird. This is meant to be the most interesting build in town, so making sure that it is bigger and cooler is quite important. The build palette does look a bit unusual when it's unfinished, but it does work quite well with us once there's a spruce border on the bottom and then the little beehives on the top. The roof on this build is actually meant to house all the rooms in the taverns, which is why it's so tall. It's bigger than the freaking starter house. A gradient was needed for the roof, and I wanted to reuse the one from the greenhouse, which is a simple one from pumpkins to gold. The only issue with that is it doesn't look good. It's very flat. It just doesn't work. So I went to the drawing board and decided to push the gradient up, starting with red sandstone and going up through the various blocks through to the glazed terracotta and ending with gold. And with the build largely complete at this stage, I decided to add a few dormer windows. And whilst I do the final touches on the build, please enjoy this time-lapse of the chapel for this town. Need to remove the scaffolding, I think, before we do the overview of what we've done today. Yes, we've done quite a lot today between this. Let's do this. Alright. We have finished the chapel and the rest of the village. Look at it. Ain't it quaint? Ain't it cute? We finished up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 buildings all in one episode. And aren't they just the cutest? Honestly, I'm just so happy with how these turned out. Now, they do need a little bit more detail, which I'll be working on as I end this episode and between episodes, because, I mean, this episode has been going on for quite a while. But this, honestly, I think we've done a very good job here. We've done a very, very good job. And just a little bit of bushes everywhere. And extensions to the height of the edges of these fields. Like, and maybe some of these could be birch leaves. Like one of the, look, birch looks so good with that. And I'll do that for every little bit of this village. And that's it for this episode. I've been Fafre the Undead, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please leave a like. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye! Oh, this is ridiculous how much I've done. Any episode.